welcome to Psalmic Saturday here at Ariel's Corner. This is Ariel Gatoga, and we are streaming live on YouTube and on Twitch. And I'm super happy to be here today, and I hope you are as well. Let's see. Today we have moderating on our stream on YouTube, the lovely Heather, and on Twitch, the lovely Shirley. So thank you so much, Heather and Shirley. And I'm super glad that we are doing this today. We're going to go through the entirety of Psalm 119. So buckle in. It's going to be a long one. I actually cleared my schedule of some appointments that I had later so that we didn't have to rush through it. What we'll eventually do is when I get this uploaded, I'll timestamp each of the Hebrew letters of the psalm. So that way, if you're working the magic of Psalm 119, you can get right to the section that you want to if you're wanting to work with the recording. So you can download your very own booklet on the magic of Psalm 119 by going to arielgatoga.com/Psalm 119. arielgatoga.com/Psalm 119. And before we get started on that, I did have a question that I promised I would address today. So I'm going to do that as soon as I find it. I had it. And then what did I do with it? Oh, I don't remember. Let's see. I'm sorry this is taking me so long. I'm almost finding it, I think. Oh, here we go. Okay, here we go. It was on Psalm number 32. Now, just to be clear, if you guys have actual questions about recordings, because this recording was like 3 years ago. I know that you think I'm amazing, but I'm not that amazing. I don't remember each and every little thing that I said on every recording. So if you're going to ask a question about a recording, do me a favor and give me the timestamp so that I know how to respond to it. So I'm going to have to respond to your questions in a very general way because I have absolutely no idea what you're referring to because I don't know what part of the recording it was. But here's the whole thing. It says, "Is this not giving free way to rapists and murderers?" I'm assuming that it's because it's about forgiveness. And my response was absolutely not. I don't know exactly what she's talking about, but that's never the point. And then she said, or he said, I hope so, because if everyone is forgiven, then I know some people better not hear this message. And then it said, if this is really true, then every murderer and rapist will also be easily forgiven as if it was just a nightmare. Why do many corrupt court systems on earth and afterlife of all is just forgiven? I don't understand what the point of life on earth is. What am I missing here? Okay, that's a very common question. So I don't want to spend too much time on it because we've got so much to cover. But let's just look at it this way. I remember having a conversation with my own angels, teaching angels about this. It's like, what the hell, you know? What about all of these horrible, evil people and all of this horrible, evil behavior? Just forgiving everybody, you know? How is that okay? And the response, I can't find exactly where that was. It was an automatic writing, but the response was something to the effect of, do you realize how arrogant you sound right now? And I remember thinking, what are you talking about? I'm not being arrogant. I'm asking you a very sincere question about what about murderers and rapists, something similar to that. And they said, you think that your job is to be God's police force. That's very arrogant. See, my angels can talk to me like that because they know I can take it. You believe that your job here is to police everybody and that without you, what would God do? And and there was a little bit more back and forth, and I understood it eventually to mean that in the realm of this world, we do have laws in this world. We do have worldly laws that we've agreed to, and we've got court systems, we've got prison systems, we've got all kinds of checks and balances within our own legal world that we can utilize to take care of behavior. And that we are free to utilize those systems. But it's not our job in our hearts to judge somebody, no matter how bad their behavior is, because that's not our function. That's infinite intelligence has its own police force. In my particular system, that's called Samael. Samael knows what Samael's doing. Samael does not need my help, does not need my vote, does not need me to be the prosecution, does not need to be anything other than having my heart open and willing to forgive even the most heinous behavior, while at the same time utilizing things within the world that are necessary in order to curb that behavior when I need to. So forgiving somebody does not give license to bad behavior. I've said this about 70,000 times, but I want to make sure that I'm really clear about this. Forgiving somebody in your heart is not the same thing as saying, well, do whatever you want to do. Forgiving somebody in your heart is saying, it's not up to me to decide who's worthy of infinite intelligence's love and who isn't. That's not up to me, and I may never understand it. I may never understand it, but my position here is not to be arrogant and say, well, God's messing up or God's a wimp, so I'm going to have to take over and have a bunch of resentment for this person. My job here is to do my best to understand that there's a difference between evil and illness. And that the most heinous, disgusting, I'm talking about serial killers, I'm talking about, genocide, I'm talking about really awful, awful things in this world. We want to believe that that's just pure evil because we can't stand the idea that maybe that's pain. Maybe that's mental illness. Maybe that's a type of illness that needs healing. Right? And that it's not up to us to give that healing, but it is up to us to open our hearts and allow ourselves to have compassion even to the people that we don't believe deserve it. Because when we do that, we are removing ourselves as the police force of the universe and allowing infinite intelligence to do its work. Now, I will tell you that forgiving other people has been the catalyst to their demise more than anything that I can think of. And that's not why we forgive. We don't forgive in order to destroy them. But sometimes when I forgive somebody, I've removed myself from the situation so much that the evil can destroy itself because I'm not standing in the way. Because evil always destroys itself. Always. And as far as, whether they go to hell or whether they burn in hell and all that nonsense, that's not my business. I don't even believe in that necessarily. None of that's my business. My only business is to keep my heart open and to keep my energy clear. And oftentimes that involves very radical forgiveness on my part, which is not easy to do. Okay? So it's not easy necessarily to have this kind of forgiveness that oftentimes we are called on to have, but that doesn't mean that we just stop, that we just shut down and we say, oh no, they're evil, they don't deserve anything other than pain and misery and blah, 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 blah. Because you don't know that. You don't know that. I don't know that. Who are we to judge? It's not up to us to judge. We are not as smart as we think we are. So oftentimes, when we look at things and we feel very self-righteous about the fact that they're bad and that we're good, or that we're not as bad as they are and therefore they deserve ... we're putting ourselves into a very arrogant posture, and that's a very vulnerable posture. So if we want to be safe in this universe and we want to allow things to work out the way that they're supposed to, forgiveness is oftentimes our most potent tool. So I don't know if that helped you. I'm not telling you that you have to forgive. I'm not telling you to do anything, but I am telling you that for me and in my very long life and dealing with some extremely evil behavior in my life, that For me to find peace and to have my life work well, forgiveness was always absolutely necessary. Hope that helps. All right, let's get going on this. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat thread, and I will, if anybody's still on this at the end, get to those questions. All right. Today we are working Psalm 119, and Psalm 119 is a very important psalm, and we have an entire booklet on some of the magic of Psalm 119, and you can download your very own copy of that by going to arielgatoga.com/Psalm 119, arielgatoga.com/Psalm 119. Now, you'll be able to use the timestamps in the video description of this very video to go right to any section within Psalm 119 that you need to access immediately. This is called an acrostic psalm, which means that each letter of the Hebrew alphabet is in charge of each section. So each section goes in order of the Hebrew alphabet. And when you're reading these psalms in Hebrew, each verse of each section, there's 8 verses per section, start with that letter. So the first being Aleph, the first 8 verses of this Psalm 119 will start with Aleph, and then the next section is Beth, and each of those 8 verses start with the letter Beth, and so on and so on. Now, that's not the case when we've translated it into English, but the magic of the Hebrew alphabet is still inherent in this psalm. So here we go with Psalm 119. Aleph. Blessed be the undefiled... Oh, let's do this better, Ariel. So here we go with the music that doesn't need to be on. Hello. So here we go with Psalm 119. Aleph. Blessed are the undefiled in the way, who walk in the law of the Lord. Blessed are they that keep his testimonies, and that seek him with the whole heart. They also do no iniquity, they walk in his ways. Thou hast commanded us to keep thy precepts diligently. O that my ways were directed to keep thy statutes. Then shall I not be ashamed, then shall I have respect unto all thy commandments. I will praise thee with the uprightness of heart. When I shall have learned thy righteous judgments, I will keep thy statutes. O forsake me not utterly. So, oftentimes we use this section for to keep promises made. And it's interesting because this whole Psalm 119 is a variation on a single theme, and that's to be guided and led at all times so that we can keep our promise to infinite intelligence. And the reason why we want to keep our promise to infinite intelligence is because that's the doorway for us to keep, for us to receive the promises back from infinite intelligence. So it's talking about those that are undefiled in their way, who walk in the law of the Lord, are undefiled. They are blessed. So if you want to be blessed, you can constantly ask to be guided and led as you walk the way. You can tell yourself that every step you take is blessed, that you are walking on sacred ground. Blessed are they that keep his testimonies and that seek him with the whole heart. That means that every single action, every single decision that you make, and all of your desires of your heart are connected to infinite intelligence. And therefore, everything that you seek is holy, and therefore you only find that which is holy. Keeping God's testimonies are keeping the promises, keeping the promises that you make, and that you receive the promises back that infinite intelligence has already made for you. They also do no iniquity. They walk in his ways. You're not going to make any mistakes when you ask first. When you start to think, instead of thinking autonomously all by yourself, when you start to say, well, wait a minute, Infinite intelligence, guide me. I want to be shown in each and every action, each and every decision. Then you're not going to make mistakes because you're going to be held up and you're going to be guided. Thou hast commanded us to keep thy precepts diligently. Oh, that my ways were directed to keep thy statutes. So direct me, guide me, step by step by step. I don't want to think all by myself anymore, because when I think all by myself, I'm not thinking, I'm hallucinating, I'm fantasizing. But in reality, my mind is an extension of your mind, so I want to feel as that extension. I don't want to try to think like a separate entity, like an ego. I want to think like a soul, and a soul just beams forth infinite intelligence's wisdom. Then I shall not be ashamed when I have respect unto all thy commandments. There's no shame involved with a life lived as an extension of infinite intelligence, because shame is nothing that infinite intelligence created. Shame is something that the ego came up with so that we can feel bad about ourselves. The reason why the ego did that is that way it can start to try to convince us that we are shameful, that we are separate. But all of that's just a lie. I will praise thee with the uprightness of heart when I shall have learned thy righteous judgments. Now, infinite intelligence judges you constantly and rightly, and infinite intelligence only knows you as you were created. And what does that mean? Infinite intelligence knows that you are fabulous and that there's nothing wrong with you. There never has been, and there never will be. God didn't create junk, and that includes you. I will keep thy statutes. Oh, forsake me not utterly. So infinite intelligence can't forsake you, but we can turn our backs on infinite intelligence and just say, no, that's okay. I'm going to think all by myself. And when we do that, then we create this false sense that we are all by ourselves. And we don't want to do that. And we are reminding ourselves that we are not alone and that all is well. Beth. Wherewithal, we oftentimes use Beth to purify the heart and the mind. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. With my whole heart have I sought thee. O let me not wander from thy commandments. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. Blessed art thou, O Lord, teach me thy statutes. With my lips have I declared all the judgments of thy mouth. With my lips have I declared all the judgments of thy mouth. I have rejoiced in the way of thy testimonies as much as in all riches. I will meditate in thy precepts and have respect unto thy ways. I will delight myself in thy statutes. I will not forget thy word. So it says, wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. A young man cleansing his way is all people, not just men. Young meaning that we are children, and infinite intelligence is our parent. You know, if you look at the New Testament, Jesus didn't even call on Yahweh. Jesus called on Daddy. Because the whole purpose there was to remind us that we are just little children, and that we are constantly loved and constantly guided, but that we like petulant little toddlers sometimes say, no, I don't want to do it that way. And then when we do that, then we create this fantasy world that we're all by ourselves, when in fact we are not all by ourselves. With my whole heart have I sought thee. Oh, let me not wander from thy commandments. Just, Mommy, what does that mean? Daddy, what does that mean? Constantly guide me. Show me each and everything. I'm just a little kid in comparison to you, and I want you to show me the real world, not this fake fantasy that I've created for myself. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against me. Thy word have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against thee. The word of God is the will of God. And the will of God is not the will of some infinite dude up in the sky. The word of God, the will of God is the will of infinite intelligence, which is pre-gender and has nothing but your good that it desires for you. And you are just as important to infinite intelligence as anything or anyone else in the universe. And that secret that you hold in your heart constantly helps to be a beacon of light for you, to guide you to the right actions that you must take in this world, because you're not reacting to this world out of fear anymore. You're responding out of love. Blessed art thou, O Lord, teach me thy statutes. With my lips have I declared all the judgments of thy mouth. So the statutes of the infinite intelligence that we will be taught are in the moment. What does this mean? What does that mean? What do I do about this? How do I respond to that? If we can take it one little step at a time, recognizing that we are not all by ourselves and that we don't want to think autonomously, we want to think in concert with our higher selves, boy, then everything works for us. The judgments of the mouth of infinite intelligence, again, are what? You're fabulous. Your life is awesome. Only good can happen to you. My will for you is happiness, joy, and good, prosperity, and all good things. That's infinite intelligence's will for you. So that's God's judgments. I have rejoiced in the way of thy testimonies as much as in all riches. See, we think sometimes we need money in order to be happy. We need things in order to be happy. But that's just because that's how the world has taught us. But in reality, all of those things are fine to have as long as they are just manifestations of infinite intelligence's will for you. You want to look for the will of infinite intelligence and let those things happen, not look for those things and then maybe find the will of infinite intelligence some other day. I will meditate in thy precepts and have respect unto thy ways. So having respect unto the ways of infinite intelligence is often called the fear of the Lord. And that doesn't mean that we're afraid of God. What it means is that we are excited, that we are respectful, that we are always in the ecstasy of the presence of infinite intelligence. Meditating on what the will of infinite intelligence is a huge deal. When you sit and you just say, your will be done, that doesn't mean something external to you is going to happen to you against your will. It's saying, now I'm going to teach you what your will is. I'm going to teach you what your will is, because you've been operating under this false will, thinking that you're all separate and that you have to figure stuff out for yourself. In reality, you already came as a soul with a will fully intact. All of your problems have already been solved. All of your needs have already been met. Let me show you how. I will delight myself in thy statutes, and I will not forget thy word. I'm going to be delighted in the fact that the infinite intelligence's will for me is that I be happy. All my needs are met. All problems are solved. Isn't that wonderful? Gimel, oftentimes used to attract money. Deal bountifully with thy servant, that I may live and keep thy word. Open thou mine eyes, that I may behold wondrous things out of thy law. I am a stranger in the earth. Hide not thy commandments from me. My soul breaketh for the longing that it hath unto thy judgments at all times. Thou hast rebuked the proud that are cursed, which do err from thy commandments. Remove me from reproach and contempt, for I have kept thy testimonies. Princes also did sit and speak against me, but thy servant did meditate in thy statutes. Thy testimonies are also my delight and my counselors. So it's saying, deal bountifully with thy servant, that I may live and keep thy word. Bountifully means I deserve all of the prosperity that infinite intelligence wills for me. How much prosperity does infinite intelligence will for you? What is the bounty? All of it. As much as you possibly can handle. That's how much infinite intelligence wants for us. So, deal bountifully with thy servant? Yeah, that's infinite intelligence's will. Keep thy word means your will be done. I know your will is for me to have all that I need, and in excess. In excess. Look at nature. There's not just a couple flowers, there's infinite amounts of flowers. There's not just a couple of grains of sand, there's an infinite amount of grains of sand. There's not a couple drops in the ocean, there's an infinite ocean. And the same is true for you. Infinite intelligence's will for your prosperity is infinite. Open thou mine eyes, that I may behold wondrous things out of thy law. The law of infinite intelligence means cause and effect. If you allow infinite intelligence to be the cause, the effect is wondrous. Wondrous. Open my eyes. I don't want to see all the illusions that I keep projecting onto the world. I want to see your will for me, because I know that that means that all my fondest dreams are being fulfilled. I am a stranger in the earth. Hide not thy commandments from me. You're a stranger in the earth because you keep throwing up you keep throwing up illusions onto the screen of space, because that's how our minds work. So once we allow infinite intelligence to change the film to the truth, then what we're going to start seeing is, rather than feeling like we're a stranger in a strange land, we're going to see that we're actually home in a place and at a time and in a space where all is well. My soul breaketh for the longing that it hath unto thy judgments at all times. So when it says that your soul breaketh for the longing, that means everything that you thought that the world was is not true. Everything that you thought that this world was is not true. What the world really is behind that illusion is all good. And it's for you at all times. The judgments of infinite intelligence are, no, I love you. Only the best for you. That's God's judgment for you. Then it says, thou hast rebuked the proud that are cursed, which do err from thy commandments. It's talking about the ego mind here. The ego mind is cursed. And to be cursed means to be not in existence, to be shown as the illusion for what it is, as to be disappeared. And that's what we want. We want our ego to disappear from our sight, because instead of thinking all by ourselves, we are now allowing our minds to be used for the purpose for which they were created. And that's for our soul's journey, not our ego's journey. Remove from me reproach and contempt, for I have kept thy testimonies. There's the law of the land right there. You want to be happy, then you have to stop throwing out your own ideas of reproach and contempt for others. It's just how it works. You literally get what you give in this life. And we are so clever about how we say, oh no, I never am like that. I'm so perfect. It's all happening to me. And it's just not the case. It's just not the case. We are, to the degree that we are experiencing the contempt and reproach, we have a lot of it that we are giving as well, that we are projecting. It says, princes also did sit and speak against me, but thy servant did meditate in thy statutes. It's talking about how when people in this world that seem very powerful to you, or situations in this world that seem very powerful to you, seem to be speaking against you, meaning seem to be trying to prove to you that you are a victim of this world and that you have no power, the way you're going to respond to that is not to fight against it. You're going to then instead meditate on the statutes of infinite intelligence, which means, if I'm experiencing that, then I am not letting the thoughts of infinite intelligence rule my mind. I'm somehow allowing my own ego thoughts to project things into my life. And so I'm not going to do that anymore. My response to that is going to be going right back to infinite intelligence and say, I want you to interpret this for me. I don't understand this. I'm not going to go back into that nonsense again. Thy testimonies are also my delight and my counselors. So the testimonies here, meaning I'm going to sit and ask. I'm going to be guided. I'm going to be led by infinite intelligence, not by my own ego minds, not by my own reactions to things, not by my own defense mechanisms. I'm going to put those things to the side right now, and I'm going to ask for guidance, true spiritual guidance in each and every moment. Aleph, often used to increase learning abilities and to acquire new knowledge or skill. My soul cleaveth unto the dust. Quicken thou me according to thy word. I have declared my ways, and thou heardest me. Teach me thy statutes. Make me to understand the way of thy precepts, so that I shall talk of all thy wondrous works. My soul melteth for heaviness. Strengthen thou me according to thy word. Strengthen thou me according unto thy word. Remove from me the way of lying, and grant me thy law graciously. I have chosen the way of truth. Thy judgments I have laid before me. I have stuck unto thy testimonies. O Lord, put me not to shame. I will run the way of thy commandments when thou shalt enlarge my heart. Okay, so my soul cleaveth unto the dust. Quicken thou me according to thy word. When your soul seems to be cleaving unto the dust, that means when you just feel like that what you see before you in the world is the truth. When you believe that the illusion that you see before you is the one and only truth, that's when you remember, wait a minute, I'm not making up my mind about what I see here. I'm going to ask, what is this really? What does this mean? Help me. Quicken me according to thy word, meaning show me your will instead of mine. Show me your will instead of the will of the world here. I have declared my ways, and thou heardest me. Teach me thy statutes. So I've declared my ways, and you heard me. So you know what I want. Now it's my job to listen to what you want. Because we are afraid that God's at odds with our will. Well, I don't want God's will because I want to be rich. I don't want God's will because I want to be healed. I don't want God's will because I want this relationship to work, right? Somehow we thinking that God is standing against us. Now we are saying, wait a minute. God's will for me is happiness in this situation. God wants things to work out for me. So rather than me deciding what it might look like for this to work out, I'm going to ask infinite intelligence, what does it look like from your point of view when this thing works out? And let it be like that. Make me to understand the way of thy precepts so that I shall talk of thy wondrous works. When you talk of infinite intelligence's wondrous works, it means that you're using your speech in a very powerful way. Rather than talking about how bad everything is, you're going to start talking about how wondrous everything is. Because you understand. You understand. You're having understanding. Understanding is that sphere number 3, by the way, on the tree of life. My soul melteth for heaviness, strengtheneth thou me according unto thy word. So when you're feeling like your soul is heavy, that means that you're listening to the voice inside your head rather than the voice inside infinite intelligence. You're listening to the voice that wants to bring you pain rather than the voice that infinite intelligence brings you, that wants to bring you happiness and joy and remind you of the truth rather than the lies that you have been taught and that you continue to perpetuate, sometimes and most of the time, unbeknownst to yourself. Remove from me the way of lying and grant me thy law graciously. So it's not your fault that you were taught how to lie. It's not your fault. You were taught how to lie from the moment that you were born. And it's not your parents' fault that you were taught how to lie because they were taught by their parents and so on and so on. And it is generation upon generation of curses that we are dealing with here. And that the only way to undo such a curse is to just say, remove from me the way of lying. So it's the whole way. It's the whole road in front of me that I keep paving for myself based on generations of habit. Remove that way and grant me thy law graciously. The law of infinite intelligence is the law of cause and effect. The graciousness of infinite intelligence is if you allow infinite intelligence's thoughts to be the cause, the effect is pure joy and graciousness and happiness and the resolution of all problems. I have chosen the way of truth. Thy judgments have I laid before me. It's talking about the existential power that you have of choosing. I'm going to choose truth instead of this. If it's painful, I know it's not real. If it's a problem, I know this is not the whole story. I'm going to choose truth instead of this. And I want you to show me truth instead of this, infinite intelligence. I have stuck unto thy testimonies. O Lord, put me not to shame. So I'm just going to keep coming back again and again and again. And when you say, O Lord, put me not to shame, it's an affirmation that there is no shame in infinite intelligence. You have nothing to be shameful about. If you're feeling ashamed, you go to infinite intelligence to have infinite intelligence reinterpret the situation for you and also undo all the consequences of any mistakes that you've made in the past. And infinite intelligence will do so in an instant. I will run the way of thy commandments when thou shalt enlarge my heart. Open my heart so that I see the truth. I want to run the way of infinite. I want your rules, not my rules, not the world's rules. Your rules are constant grace, constant joy, constant abundance, constant health, constant good. I want you to open my heart so that that's the world I live in, rather than continuing to project onto this screen of space this world of pain that we are so used to. All right, hey, often used to replace bad habits with good ones. It says, teach me, O Lord, the way of thy statutes, and I shall keep it unto the end. Give me understanding, and I shall keep thy law. Yea, I shall observe it with my whole heart. Make me go into the path of thy commandments, for therein do I delight. Incline my heart unto thy testimonies, and not to covetousness. Turn away mine eyes from beholding vanity, and quicken thou me in thy way. Establish thy word unto thy servant who is devoted to thy fear. Turn away my reproach which I fear, for thy judgments are good. Behold, I have longed for thy precepts. Quicken me in thy righteousness. All right, so teach me, O Lord, the way of thy statutes, and I shall keep it unto the end. That means that you're promising that you're going to see this through. Whatever you hear, whatever you're directed to do, you're not going to say, well, I'll try. No, you're going to take one step at a time, and you're going to say, which way do I go? What do I do? What do I say? How do I say it? Who do I say it to? Do I keep quiet? Do I what? You tell me. And then you're going to keep going until you get to the end. You're not going to give up. Give me understanding, and I shall keep thy law. Yea, I shall observe it with my whole heart. So, understanding again, that Bina, sphere number 3, this is infinite intelligence as mother. This is oftentimes called Lilith. This is the part of the goddess that decided she didn't want to participate in the drama of the ego at all. So she just flew away. I'm not doing this, right? So give me that kind of understanding, and I shall keep thy law. Yea, I shall observe it with my whole heart. Infinite intelligence, if you show me what to do, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go down the drama. I'm not going to go down the path of the drama of this world. I'm going to let you show me, and I'm going to do it with my whole heart. Make me go into thy path, make me to go in the path of thy commandments, for therein do I delight. I only want to go where I delight. There's only delight in infinite intelligence's plan. In the divine design of your life, that's where the delight is. There's no delight elsewhere. And so why not? Why not go where there's delight? The delight is pure magic. It's infinite magic. It's infinite wonders. It's not this boring old yucky world that we live in where everything is just always doomed. Incline my heart unto thy testimonies, and not to covetousness. There's no reason to covet anything. You don't want anything that doesn't belong to you. If you want something that doesn't belong to you, it's just because you're telling yourself that you can't have your own version of that. Infinite intelligence doesn't see things that way. Infinite intelligence wants you to have everything that will make you happy, and then some. Turn away mine eyes from beholding vanity, and quicken thou me in thy way. What's vanity? The idea that you could be anything less than perfect. That you could be anything less than the infinite love out of which you are expressed. So if your life and your self-perception doesn't look like that, then it's simply an indication that you still need to come back again and again and again to infinite intelligence and ask to be taught, ask to be shown, ask to be guided until you get it. That's going to be quicken thou me in thy way, meaning let's get this moving. I'm going to start with that. I'm going to start with if I don't feel at peace, I must be wrong. If there's problems, I must be wrong, and I want you to show me instead. And I'm going to get there right away. Establish thy word unto thy servant who is devoted to thy fear. Again, devoted to thy fear means devoted to thy presence. It's not going to be a cerebral exercise. Yes, there's this thing called infinite intelligence. No, I want infinite intelligence, or all of the qualities, any of the names of God. Infinite, love, infinite truth, infinite joy, infinite life, all of those things. I want to feel the presence of infinite intelligence as a real force in my life, not as some sort of theory that I have. Turn away my reproach, which I fear, for thy judgments are good. So if you're afraid of infinite intelligence reproaching you, it's because you don't understand infinite intelligence, nor do you understand your relationship to infinite intelligence. You've really been snowed, and you believe that you are this little ego. You're not getting that you are a powerful soul, straight from source, that you have absolute power. And that's how infinite intelligence wants it. And until you get to the point where you understand your true power, you need to be taught. And that's the only reason for going to infinite intelligence again and again and again, is so that you can be taught that you're powerful, not vulnerable, that you have all power over everything in this world. And until you get that, that means that you need to be taught some more. Behold, I have longed after thy precepts. Quicken me in thy righteousness. Make me get there faster. Righteousness means right thinking, right acting, right behavior, right thoughts. That the thoughts and the deeds that are in accordance with my soul rather than in accordance with my ego. Okay, Vav, often used to inspire others to serve you. Let thy mercies come also unto me, O Lord, even thy salvation according to thy word. So shall I have wherewith to answer him that reproacheth me, for I trust in thy word. And take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth, for I have hoped in thy judgments. So shall I keep thy law continually forever and ever, and I will walk at liberty, for I seek thy precepts. I will speak of thy testimonies also before kings, and will not be ashamed. I will delight myself in thy commandments, which I have loved. My hands also will I lift unto thy commandments, which I have loved, and I will meditate on thy statutes. One moment, please. Okay, so, hello. Where was I? Okay, so let thy mercies come also unto me, O Lord, even thy salvation according to thy word. The mercies of God are sphere number 4 on the tree of life, and that is Jupiter. And Jupiter is also where we receive justice and prosperity. And truth. Let thy mercies come also unto me, O Lord, even thy salvation according to thy word. In other words, whatever I've come to this for, salvation means the solving of this problem. So we are just allowing ourselves to recognize that infinite intelligence will solve whatever this is that we've come to the psalm for. So shall I have wherewith to answer him that reproacheth me, for I trust in thy word. You'll know what to say. The basic, when you ask for guidance, the guidance that we often get is, I'll tell you when you get there. I'll let you know when you get there. You'll know in the moment. And that's the practice that we have to learn how to have. We have to practice in the moment, asking for guidance. And take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth, for I have hoped in thy judgments. Well, again, that's a very dramatic way of saying, make sure that I keep telling the truth. Make sure that I don't resort to lying anymore. And lying can be more than just saying something that's not true in the world. Lying can be using your thoughts and words to depict yourself as something other than the perfect expression of infinite intelligence that you are. So shall I keep thy law continually forever and ever. Forever and ever is in this present moment. That's where ever and ever exists. So right now, I'm keeping thy law. Thy law is the law of cause and effect, and that your thoughts, when I allow you to express those thoughts through me, will create an experience in the world that is perfect for me. I will walk at liberty, for I seek thy precepts. Walking at liberty means I'm free. You're free. You are a free agent, and you're using your freedom in service of your soul rather than in service of your ego. See, because your ego wants to convince you that freedom means that you can do things that are against your soul, but that's actually not freedom. That's imprisonment. Your freedom is allowing your soul to live through you, and your soul knows that you are an extension of truth, that you're an extension of power, not an extension of fear. I will speak of thy testimonies also before kings and will not be ashamed. You don't have to worry about anybody. You don't have to worry about authority figures in your life. You don't have to worry about big situations or big problems or big issues. There's no big and little in infinite intelligence. It's all the same. There's no big problems and little problems. So no matter what you think is going on out there, you don't have to be afraid, because infinite intelligence will let you know when you get there what to do and how to handle it. And your soul has all the power to overcome any difficulty in your life. But we have to be willing to turn our minds over so that we are being instructed rather than thinking autonomously. And I will delight myself in thy commandments, which I have loved. Loving the commandments of infinite intelligence simply means that I love the thoughts that infinite intelligence thinks through me, because I know that those thoughts bring me happiness and joy. My hands also will I lift unto thy commandments, which I have loved, and I will meditate in thy statutes. Okay, so your hands are the way that you exercise or you demonstrate your freedom in this world, in the ways that you create things in this world. And so you're going to use those to lift up unto infinite intelligence commandments. In other words, use my hands, use my mouth, use my eyes, use my body, use my mind, use all of my resources so that your truth can come through me. All right, zain, often used to turn away from negative patterns and behaviors. Remember the word unto thy servant, upon which thou hast caused me to hope. This is my comfort in my affliction, for thy word hath quickened me. The proud have had me greatly in derision, yet I have not declined from thy law. I remembered thy judgments of old, O Lord, and I have comforted myself. Horror hath taken hold upon me because of the wicked that forsake thy law. Thy statutes have been in my songs in the house of my pilgrimage. I have remembered thy name, O Lord, in the night, and have kept thy law. This I had because I kept thy precepts. So this is to turn away from negative patterns and behaviors oftentimes. So remember the word unto thy servant, upon which thou hast caused me to hope. Hope means have faith. Your faith comes from infinite intelligence's will for you. If you have faith that infinite intelligence wills that you be happy, then happiness is the outcome that you can expect. This is my comfort in my affliction, for thy word hath quickened me. Your affliction disappears in the presence of infinite intelligence's will. And so while a lot of times we have that sort of gap between when we work a spell and when the spell comes to fruition, we don't stop having faith, because we know, just like when you plant a seed, it'll come up. You just have to give it time in this world sometimes. This is my comfort in my affliction. Oh, I already said that. The proud have had me greatly in derision, yet have I not declined from thy law. The proud is not only people out in your world, because those people are simply projections of your mind. The proud is your own ego mind, thinking, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm faulty. Nothing ever works for me. I'm so vulnerable. I'm so afraid. And I understand. We all go through that. That's part of being a human being. But let's notice that when it comes up and say, wait. That's arrogance. That's all arrogance. That's vanity. I'm going to not do that. I'm going to think in a new way. I'm going to say, wait a minute. I think that I'm small and insignificant. What do you think of me, infinite intelligence? And you're going to get quite a surprise. I remember thy judgments of old, O Lord, and have comforted myself. The judgments of old are the first judgment that infinite intelligence has of you, is the one and only judgment that there is, and that's you're good. If you want to look in the Old Testament, infinite intelligence saw what it made and said, good. That's continues to be what infinite intelligence thinks of you. Doesn't see your ego and all of this stuff in this world and say, oh. It says good. So we want that. We want good. That will comfort you, knowing that infinite intelligence loves you just the way you are and wants you to be happy, wants you to move out of the hellishness that you might be experiencing. It says, horror hath taken hold upon me because of the wicked that forsake thy law. Horror takes upon us anytime we think wicked thoughts. What are wicked thoughts? Wicked thoughts are that there is no infinite intelligence, or that I'm all by myself, or that I've fallen from grace, or that I'm not good enough, or that I'm weak, or I'm vulnerable. Right? All of those thoughts. And then the horrors are the manifestations of those thoughts in this world that we all think together. We all do a great job of this, by the way. We are really, really good at peopling our universe with proof that we're right. So we're saying, horror hath taken hold upon me because of the wicked that forsake thy law. So for any time that we're experiencing that, we know that we've forsaken the law. We're not remembering that the law of cause and effect from infinite intelligence point of view is that the effect can only be joy for you. So if you're not experiencing joy, then you're taking a detour that's not necessary. Thy statutes have been my songs in the house of my pilgrimage. So our pilgrimage is getting back to the truth. And the statutes, the remembering what infinite intelligence's will for us, are the songs that we must sing while we are traveling back home to the truth of who we are. And that does not need to take a long time. In fact, it can happen in an instant. The amount of time it takes is entirely up to us. I have remembered thy name, O Lord, in the night, and have kept thy law. When you keep the law of infinite intelligence at night, it means that you go to sleep with that thought in your mind. That's a very powerful time of day for you to have new thought forms be impregnating the screen of space in your life. So you go to sleep with the idea that infinite intelligence's law is that you are perfect the way you were created, and that the will of infinite intelligence is that you're happy and that you're joyful and that things work out for you and that all good is yours and that there is nothing withheld from you. That's the law. This I had because I kept thy precepts. How do you keep the precepts? By asking to be guided and led, and not thinking all by yourself. Because thinking by yourself is thinking the way that the world has trained you, because you've forgotten to think the way that infinite intelligence thinks about you. So now you want to be retrained. And until you've been retrained, you can't trust yourself to think all by yourself. Think in terms of when an alcoholic gets into a program, one of the first things that they tell you is, you know how you think? Do the opposite. You know what you feel like doing? Do the opposite. And then you'll probably be happy, And that's what we have to do. If I'm thinking for myself, wait a minute. I'm going to ask infinite intelligence for guidance instead. Heth, to overcome loneliness. Thou art my portion, O Lord. I have said that I would keep thy words. I entreated thy favor with my whole heart. Be merciful unto me according to thy word. I thought on my ways and turned my feet unto thy testimonies. I made haste and delayed not to keep thy commandments. The bands of the wicked have robbed me, but I have not forgotten thy law. At midnight I will rise to give thanks unto thee because of thy righteous judgments. I am a companion of all them that fear thee, and of them that keep thy precepts. The earth, O Lord, is full of thy mercy. Teach me thy statutes. All right. So, infinite intelligence, thou art my portion, O Lord. I have said that I would keep thy words. The words are the will of infinite intelligence. The portion means this is your inheritance. Your portion of heaven is all of it. You get it all. You get the whole enchilada. Okay, and so does everybody. So, and you don't get to decide how many people deserve it and who doesn't deserve it. That's not what you do. Because the minute you start deciding who outside of you deserves the portion and who doesn't deserve the portion, then you're cutting yourself off from your own. So we're not thinking like that anymore. Thou art my portion, O Lord. I have said that I would keep thy words. To keep the words of infinite intelligence is to constantly remind yourself to ask for guidance. Because infinite intelligence's will for you is happiness. And if that's not what you're experiencing, then you need more help and instruction. I entreated thy favor with my whole heart. Be merciful unto me according to thy word. So mercy, again, sphere number 4, is also where prosperity is. The word of God is the will of God. I entreated thy favor with my whole heart. Your whole heart is your subconscious mind. That means that you know this by heart. You know that this is the one and only reality in your body, mind, and affairs. Infinite intelligence's will for you. Anything else is not interesting to you. I thought on my ways, and I turned my feet unto thy testimonies. So my thoughts and my actions I give to you. Not because I'm so pious and I'm such this lowly servant, but because I want to be reminded and taught of how fabulous I am and everybody else is, and what this world can be according to the vision of infinite intelligence versus the vision of our ego minds. I made haste and delayed not to keep thy commandments. To keep the commandments of infinite intelligence is simply to say, what do I do in this situation? What do I do in this situation? How do I respond to this? Confessing to yourself and to the universe, I don't know how to respond. I don't understand what anything means in front of me. I'm not going back to the old thought system. I want the new thought system. And the only way to get the new thought system is to listen to you. Because the old thought system is the non-existent thought system. The real old thought system is the ancient one. That's what infinite intelligence already had for you, right? But then we got into this ego mindset, which they call the fall from grace in the story of Eden, which simply means that we fell asleep. And we had a bad dream, and now we want to wake up from that dream. We don't want to be dreaming anymore. We want infinite intelligence to show us the truth each and every moment. The bands of the wicked have robbed me, but I have not forgotten thy law. The bands of the wicked are the wicked thoughts in our minds where we think that this world is bad. We think that we are bad. We think that we are afraid. And so then our minds are used by that ego to create situations and experiences in this world to prove those thoughts are true. We don't want that anymore. At midnight I will rise up to give thanks unto thee because of thy righteous judgments. Now, at midnight that you rise up doesn't necessarily mean that you need to set your alarm clock for midnight to rise up and say these things. It means that in the midst of my sleep, my subconscious mind is going to be at one with these thoughts, because when my subconscious mind is at one with these thoughts, then I don't have to think of them consciously anymore. They just become the habitual new reality in my life. I'm a companion of all them that fear thee and of them that keep thy precepts. That's everybody. That's all souls. Souls constantly are experiencing the ecstasy of infinite intelligence and the presence of infinite intelligence. And we're already doing that even when we're asleep to the fact that we're doing it. So we're already in the company of all good at all times. But we don't want anything extra. We don't want also to be having a nightmare while we're doing that. We want to have all of the truth and none of the lies. The earth, O Lord, is full of thy mercy. Teach me thy statutes. The earth is all of your physical experience. It's the physical world. So when we think in terms of how God wants the world to look for us, it's all mercy. It's full of thy mercy. So if you teach me how to see things differently, then things are going to change right in front of my face. Teth, for health of the mind. Thou hast dealt with thy servant, O Lord, according unto thy word. Teach me good judgment and knowledge, for I have believed thy commandments. Before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now I have kept thy word. Thou art good, and doest good. Teach me thy statutes. The proud have forged a lie against me, but I will keep thy precepts with my whole heart. Their heart is as fat as grease, but I will delight in thy law. It is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes. The law of thy mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver. So, thou hast dealt with thy servant, O Lord, according to thy word. So infinite intelligence's word is its will. The will of infinite intelligence is that you be happy, that you be successful, that you be free. Teach me good judgment and knowledge, for I have believed thy commandments. In other words, I want you to teach me what things really are, not the way that I keep perceiving them and misperceiving them. Before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now I have kept thy word. So it's always good to remember when I was so unhappy? Now I can be happy because I'm keeping the word, meaning that I'm at one with the will of infinite intelligence rather than coming up with nonsense all by myself. It's good to remind ourselves, thou art good and doest good. Teach me thy statutes. Only good. That's it. That's all infinite intelligence is and wants for you and thinks about you. When you get that infinite intelligence thinks that you're good, really happy with you, proud of you, pleased with you, things really do change for you. The proud have forged a lie against me, but I will keep thy precepts with my whole heart. That lie that the proud have forged against you is right in between your ears. So it's important that we realize that if we're not experiencing the mercy of the earth, as was talked about earlier, it's because of the lies that we have been taught and that we continue to perpetuate. And that just like you can't smell your cologne on yourself after a while, we don't recognize that we're telling lies because they're so normal. The generation upon generation upon generation of lies, right? We don't know. So that's why we have to keep coming back again and again and again and again to our inner guidance to say, show me the truth instead of this. You always know if it's true or not based on how you feel. If there's fear or anger or any of the other fearful emotions, you know that you're thinking with your ego. If it's peaceful, joyful, prosperous, happy, you know that you're thinking with infinite intelligence. Their heart is as fat as grease, but I delight in thy law. So the heart that is fat as grease is all of those thought forms within ourselves that we think, oh, there's not enough for me, so I have to cheat, or there's not enough for me, so I have to think all by myself. When we realize that infinite intelligence wants you to have everything, then we realize that we can never experience the kind of prosperity we desire by ourselves. It is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes. In other words, bless all of the bad things that have happened in your life. If you can go back and bless them and say, what did I learn? What did I learn? What did I learn? What did I learn? You're creating an alchemical reaction where you're turning all of that nonsense into pure gold in the present moment. The law of thy mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver. So no matter what you're looking for in regards to good in the physical world, it doesn't mean anything unless you understand the power back of it. But when you understand the power back of it, then there's nothing withheld from you either in the world. You can have as much gold and silver as you need at any moment of time and point of space, because that's exactly infinite intelligence's will for you. Yod, to find new employment. Thy hands have made me and fashioned me. Give me understanding that I may learn thy commandments. They that fear thee will be glad when they see me. They that fear thee will be glad when they see me, because I have hoped in thy word. I know, O Lord, what thy judgments are right, and that thou in faithfulness hast afflicted me. Let, I pray thee, thy mercies kindness be for my comfort, according to thy word unto thy servant. Let thy tender mercies come unto me, that I may live, for thy law is my delight. Let the proud be ashamed, for they dealt perversely with me, without a cause, but I will meditate in thy precepts. Let those that fear thee turn unto me, and those that have known thy testimonies. Let my heart be sound in thy statutes, that I not be ashamed. Okay, so thy hands have made me and fashioned me. Give me understanding that I may learn thy commandments. Infinite intelligence created you. You didn't create yourself. It's so important to realize that. The reason why we try to have these autonomous ego thoughts is because we somehow think that we're self-created. And we're not. Infinite intelligence created us. And when we realize that we are a pure extension of infinite intelligence, all those ego thoughts become so silly in our understanding. They that fear thee will be glad when they see me, because I have hoped in thy word. Now, the fearful of God means those that understand the presence of God. And all the thoughts in your mind that understand what the presence of God is, the presence of infinite intelligence is, all those thoughts are real thoughts. Every other thought is just a hallucination. It's just a vain imagining. I know, O Lord, that thy judgments are right, and thou in faithfulness hast afflicted me. So the affliction of infinite intelligence is not that God's punishing you. Affliction in this sense means, wait a minute, once you start asking for infinite intelligence's will to be done, then a lot of those things that you think are necessary evils in your life are taken from you. At first, sometimes it feels like an affliction, just like taking a scissors away from a baby might cause them to go, "Wah!" But it's better that they don't have those scissors, right? So that's why it feels like an affliction, because you're asking for the will of infinite intelligence to be done. And then when that happens, some of our toys are taken from us. And those are good things, because you don't want those scissors in the hands of a baby. Where did I just go? I'm sorry. I just lost it. Here it is. Okay. Let, I pray thee, thy merciful kindness be for my comfort, according to thy word unto thy servant. The will of God is for your comfort. Well, what is comfort? It means that all your needs are met. All your needs are met. Everything that can make you happy is here, right now, not in the future, right now. Let thy tender mercies come unto me, that I may live, for thy law is my delight. Delight, delight, delight. Think of that term, delight. How delightful your life can be, and will be, and is, when you think like this, when you allow infinite intelligence to have full reign of your thoughts, to show you what your soul thinks, rather than what your ego thinks. Delight is the result of that. Let the proud be ashamed, for they dealt perversely with me without a cause, but I will meditate in thy precepts. Shame in the Psalms is like a scarlet letter. And the only reason why you want to put a scarlet letter on certain thoughts is to remind you not to go back to them. So when you have thought forms that have caused you pain in the past, you want to stamp those. You want to have infinite intelligence stamp those, so that when they come around again, and you might be considering them, you say, maybe not. Maybe I won't go down that road again. Let those that fear thee turn unto me, that those that have known thy let those that fear me let those that fear thee turn unto me, and those that have known thy testimonies. So we want all of the thoughts in our mind that are the thoughts of our soul to turn unto us, to find us. And those that have known thy testimonies, everything about our minds we want to be filled with the truth that infinite intelligence's law, the law of cause and effect, is at work in our lives. And if we stop misusing our minds and misusing our gift of free will to think thoughts that are not in accordance with infinite intelligence, then the world that we have created, which is a false world, is a substitute world for the world that infinite intelligence has for us, evaporates. in front of our very eyes, and we wake up from it, and it's just a mirage. It was just a phantasm. Let my heart be sound in thy statutes, that I not be ashamed. So you're not supposed to be ashamed. You have nothing to be ashamed about. The only time that we want that shame that they talk about in the Psalm is just to remind us about thought forms which we don't want anything to do with, but it has nothing to do with who we are. You have nothing to be ashamed of. Even if you did some horrible things in your past, you're forgiven. Infinite intelligence doesn't hold any of it against you. But now, instead of constantly living in this world of karma, we want to be taken out of that world and shown the world that infinite intelligence created for us. Cough, to overcome persecution. Uh-oh. Sorry, I got to get back into this. I just had a problem here. Okay, there it is. To overcome persecution, cough. My soul fainteth for thy salvation, but I hope in thy word. Mine eyes fail for thy word, saying, when wilt thou comfort me? For I am become like a bottle in the smoke, yet I do not forget thy statutes. How many are the days of thy servant? When wilt thou execute judgment on them that persecute me? The proud have digged pits for me, which are not after thy law. All the commandments are faithful. All thy commandments are faithful. They persecute me wrongfully. Help thou me. They had almost consumed me upon earth, but I forsook not thy precepts. Quicken me after thy loving kindness, so I shall keep the testimony of thy mouth. Ooh. Okay, so my soul fainteth for thy salvation, but I hope in thy word. So when the Psalms talk about your soul fainting, it means that your soul takes over. Your soul fainteth means that your soul is taking over every part of you. And that's the only part of you that's the reality anymore. Because we hope in the will, we have faith in the will of infinite intelligence, which is our soul. Mine eyes fail for thy word, saying, when wilt thou comfort me? So when your eyes fail for the word, that means I don't believe a thing that I see. I question everything I see. Because if that happens to be a projection of my ego mind, then it's not the truth. So I'm asking infinite intelligence to interpret what I think I see in front of me. When will thou comfort me? Right now. That's the answer to that question. For I am become like a bottle in the smoke, yet I do not forget thy statutes. So a bottle in the smoke, isn't that interesting? When you're a bottle in the smoke, that means that you question everything. All the stuff that you thought that the world was, you're starting to say, well, maybe I was wrong about everything. Maybe everything in this world is not what it seems. Maybe I've been wrong and the whole world is upside down and the whole thing is some sort of artificial intelligence that started a long, long time ago that has no power over me, and that I can just turn that program off, wake up, and be in the truth of the love of infinite intelligence. How many are the days of thy servant? When wilt thou execute judgment upon them that persecute me? So infinite intelligence judgment on them that persecute you. Yes, you may have people in this world that persecute you. And until you recognize that they are a projection from your own ego mind, because that's how powerful your mind is, then you're not going to accept your own power. If you believe that those people are more powerful than you, then you're always going to experience life like that, and that you're at liberty to do that. But once you recognize that them that persecute you are in your own mind, then you can say, please have judgment. And what is God's judgment? God's judgment is, this is true, this is false. This is true, this is false. And the truth about you is that you're fabulous, and everything else is false. And let me help you. I'm going to go through your whole life with you. I'm always with you, and I'm going to show you yes, no, yes, no. The proud have digged pits for me, which are not after thy law. So the proud in your mind, again, the proud part of your mind is, no, I'll just do it myself. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to think all by myself because I'm so smart, right? That's the proud in you. The proud in you is like, now I'm going to dig a pit for myself because I'm so bad. How does the ego, the only way the ego can prove to you that you're separate from perfection is to say you're not good enough. You're not good enough the way you are. That's a pit that ego mind is digging for you. That's proud. And that's not after the law. What's the law? The law of infinite intelligence is cause and effect. And what is the cause? The thoughts of infinite intelligence. What does infinite intelligence think about you? You're perfect. You're beautiful. You're good. I love you. All thy commandments are faithful. They persecute me wrongfully. Help thou me. So it's just reminding ourselves that we persecute ourselves in our minds, and then we project that persecution out onto the world, and we get back our particular version of hell, our little bit of hell right here on earth. And that's all of our problems, all of our problem relationships, all of our issues. And infinite intelligence doesn't buy any of it. So the commandments of infinite intelligence are faithful, meaning that infinite intelligence is constantly going to show you truth versus lie, but you have to be there moment by moment by moment, asking and not making up your own mind. They had almost consumed me upon the earth, but I forsook not thy precepts. So how many times have you almost made the worst possible mistake and you got saved, right? You got saved. It happens all the time because infinite intelligence does intervene, but there's got to be some part of you that says, okay, please help me. So instead of just having that little bit of a please help me so that you can have an 11th hour miracle when you need it, we are orienting ourselves with this to go there first and not have just a little bit of willingness, but to have all of our mind focused on the will of infinite intelligence through us. Quicken me after thy loving kindness, so that I shall keep the testimony of thy mouth. So quickening me after thy loving kindness means I want to be there immediately. I want to know the truth in this situation. If it's not sweet, if it's not loving, if it's not kind, it's not true. So you show me how to see this differently, because I can't figure it out, because this one's hard. This one's really hard, but it's not hard for you. And I'm so glad about that. All right, Lamed, for compassion and humility in victory. Forever, O Lord, thy word is settled in heaven. Thy faithfulness is unto all generations. Thou hast established the earth, and it abideth. They continue this day according to thine ordinances, for all are thy servants. Unless thy law had been in my delights, I should have then perished in mine affliction. I will never forget thy precepts, for with them thou hast quickened me. I am thine, save me, for I have sought thy precepts. The wicked have waited for me to destroy me, but I will consider thy testimonies. I have seen an end of all perfection, but thy commandment is exceedingly broad. All right. So forever, O Lord, thy word is settled in heaven. Forever is now. That's the only time forever can exist. There is no future in forever. So right now, the word is settled in heaven. That means heaven is the place where you live. That's where the realm of truth, where everything is permanently perfect. And that's where infinite intelligence dwells. And that's where you dwell sleeping, having dreams of this world. Okay? So forever, O Lord, thy word is settled in heaven. So God's will be done, is done in heaven. Now remember the Lord's Prayer, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's what we're doing here. We're saying, okay, I know everything's cool in heaven, but now I want my mind to reflect the thoughts of heaven rather than to reflect the thoughts of its own insanity. Thy faithfulness is unto all generations. Thou hast established the earth, and it abideth. So infinite intelligence already established the physical realm that you exist in. And that's where you're actually having an alternate reality right now. There is a place where all of this is happening, and it's happening in a different way. And that's what we want. We want to have infinite intelligence shift our experience so that we're waking up to what the earth really is as a reflection of heaven rather than this hellish place that we exist in. They continue this day according to thine ordinances, for they are all thy servants. So it was talking about all generations before. All generations means that all of the, not only the thought forms in your mind, but their children and their children and their children. That's the way that our mind operates, that it's constantly expanding. And you're thinking new thought, and then that causes a new thought, and that causes a new thought. Now, when those generations are hooked into infinite intelligence and are being guided and instructed by infinite intelligence, then your good continues to expand as it's meant to. And they continue to this day, for they are all infinite intelligence's servants. So once we recognize that our mind is there to serve rather than to fear, then we realize that serving means, when we use our mind to serve infinite intelligence, what is the will of infinite intelligence? That we be happy. So to serve infinite intelligence is to serve that part of the mind that accepts and receives the will of infinite intelligence, and that is that we be happy, successful, prosperous, and all good. I will never forget thy precepts, for with them thou hast quickened me. To quicken is to raise your vibrations and also to get to it quickly so that we're not wasting time. And I will never forget thy precepts is talking about, I'm going to remember in the moment again and again and again and again and again to ask for guidance. I am thine, save me, for I have sought thy precepts. So it's teaching you how to become one with your good. That means that you're going to seek what? The precepts of infinite intelligence. You're going to be seeking to be taught. Remember, seek and you'll find. Knock and it will be opened. So what do you need? What do you want? What is this world? What are your problems? What are you coming to the Psalm for? Well, seek the precepts of infinite intelligence and it will be solved for you. Why? Because that's the way infinite intelligence wants it. Doesn't want to test you. Doesn't want you suffering. Wants you happy. I am thine, save me, for I have I've already said that. Okay. The wicked have waited for me to destroy me, but I will consider thy testimonies. The wicked are always waiting in your brain. That's the ego. What's the ego trying to do? Separate you. Why is the ego trying to separate you? Because that's what it's programmed to do. And until we let go of that, till we let go of our addiction to that, we have to deal with it. And that ego mind, the only way it can prove to you that you're separate from good is to try to prove to you how bad you are and how bad everybody else is. That's how it waits to destroy you. But you're not considering that anymore. That's just noise. Now you're considering what? The testimonies. That means the teachings. That I'm going to come to infinite intelligence again and again and again for guidance. I have seen an end of all perfection, but thy commandment is exceedingly broad. So when it's saying I have seen an end to all perfection, that means that the end of perfection is eternity. The end of perfection is eternity. Everything is permanently perfect. There is nothing to improve. That creation is already complete. And the commandment of infinite intelligence is so broad that you'll never get the whole thing. So that's why you don't have to worry about getting bored with happiness. You don't have to worry about getting bored with things are going to be too joyful. Don't we need a little bit of conflict to, kind of spice things up a bit? No, you don't have to worry about that. Once you're in that realm of perfection, you don't have to worry that you're going to get bored and that you need a little bit of problems to spice things up again. It's going to be amazing for you. Mem, to increase wisdom. Oh, how I love thy law. It is my meditation all the day. Thou through thy commandments hast made me wiser than mine enemies, for they are ever with me. I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are my meditations. I understand more than the ancients, because I keep thy precepts. I have refrained my feet from every evil way, that I may keep thy word. I have not departed from thy judgments. For thou hast taught me, how sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. Through thy precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every false way. All right, so how I love thy law. It is my meditation day and night. To love the law of infinite intelligence is to love the will for you to be happy. And it's my meditation all day and night. If you're thinking about infinite intelligence, then you're only thinking thoughts that bring you joy and prosperity and success. Thou through thy commandments has made me wiser than mine enemies, for they are ever with me. The ego's not going away. You don't need to, at least not right now, not until we move out of this. So don't try to kill the ego. Don't try to transcend the ego. Don't try to do anything about the ego. You leave the ego to infinite intelligence, because it's always going to be there, at least for a while. All you want to do is remind yourself not to listen to it, that your commandments are what make you wiser than the ego. And you're going to constantly go back to that wisdom again and again and again. I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are my meditation. There's no teacher in this world that's ever going to come close to the wisdom that's already a part of your interaction with infinite intelligence. You have access to all the wisdom in the world right now. You don't need an intermediary. Now, that's not to say you can't have teachers and that you can't go places where you're getting inspired, of course. But infinite intelligence already has that covered for you. I understand more than the ancients because I keep thy precepts. You have just as much power as Merlin or Morgana or whoever you think in the past was so powerful and wise. You're just as smart as Jesus. You have all access to any of it. There's nobody that infinite intelligence thinks is better than you. But by the same token, infinite intelligence doesn't think you're better than anybody. So you already got it all. So you don't have to worry about it. You're just going to keep connecting over and over again to infinite intelligence, and you're going to constantly keep that line of communication open. I have refrained my feet from every evil way, that I may keep thy word. That's up to us. Those choices that we make every day, am I going to ask to be guided? And then am I going to follow that guidance? That's up to us. We have 100% freedom. All free will. We can have it any way we want. But there's only one way that's going to make us happy. And there's many, many ways that will make us miserable. So we want the one way. And the one way is by listening to the reminders in the moment from infinite intelligence about how to respond to what's in front of us that's going to make us happy, that's going to bring us joy and remind us of who we are and why we are here. I have not departed from thy judgments, for thou hast taught me in the moment. That's how you get that. You're not going to depart. You're going to remind yourself in the moment. There's never any moment, any situation that's too trivial for you to ask, how do I respond to this? How sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. That's just self-explanatory. Infinite intelligence's will for you is all good. Sweeter than honey to your mouth is just like, what could possibly make you happy? Well, infinite intelligence has not only that covered, but so much more. I know that you think that it's going to be this, and it will be that, but it'll be so much better than that. All of what you think is going to make you happy is definitely covered in it, but you're not even scratching the surface, is what this is telling us. Through thy precepts I get understanding, therefore I hate every false way. Yeah, so understanding again that Binah, that third sphere on the tree of life, the Divine Mother brings us in understanding through the precepts of infinite intelligence, thinking along the lines of infinite intelligence at all times. And to hate every false way, to hate in the Psalms means to turn away, to make a decision against, to banish, to deny. So anything that's not what infinite intelligence is teaching me, I'm not doing it. No matter what. Nun or none. Nun, to increase understanding. So this is very much a Binah verse here. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. I have sworn and I will perform it, that I will always keep thy righteous judgments. I am afflicted very much. Quicken me, O Lord, according unto thy word. Except I beseech thee, the free will offerings of my mouth, O Lord, and teach me thy judgments. My soul is continually in my hand, yet I do not forget thy law. The wicked have laid a snare for me, yet I erred not from thy precepts. Thy testimonies have I taken as an heritage forever, for they are the rejoicing of my heart. I have inclined my heart to perform thy statutes always, even unto the end. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Like, light my way. There's the hermit card right there. The hermit in the tarot, or that Lucifer idea. There's a bring me light my way. I want to see the truth instead of this. I have sworn and I will perform it, that I will keep thy righteous judgments. To swear unto infinite intelligence is the only way to swear. I swear, meaning I am acknowledging that I am nothing but a soul, and I don't want to be anything but a soul anymore. I don't want to keep adding extra things to my soul. Right? I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be the purity of who I am as a soul. So that I will keep thy righteous judgments. The righteous judgments are pre-programmed. You're coded for it. If you think about who you are as a soul. So if you keep asking for that light to guide you each and every step of the way, you won't do anything. You won't want to do anything other than the righteous judgments, meaning hearing God's opinion of you. You want to hear God's opinion of you. Don't be afraid of God's opinion of you. Don't be afraid that God's upset with you or crying over you. God's very pleased with you. And anything that's not like that is some fantasy dream that you and the rest of the world are having. And it can be pretty dark. It can be really dark here. It can be really awful here. But infinite intelligence is not shocked. Accept, I beseech thee, the free will offerings of my mouth, O Lord, and teach me thy judgments. Okay, so the free will offerings of your mouth are, I get to choose what I say. I get to choose my words. I get to choose what goes in my mouth and what comes out of my mouth. And so I'm going to recognize that those are my free will offerings, and everything that I say is an incantation. So I want to be taught how to use my words wisely. I want to know what to say because there's power in my speech. My soul is continually in my hand, yet I do not forget my law, thy law. It's not only in my speech, but in my actions. The things that I make, the things that I do. That's where my soul is. And I want my soul's work to be the work of my hands and the work of my words. I don't want my ego to have control over those things anymore. The wicked have laid a snare for me, yet I erred not from thy precepts. The ego's always going to try to trick you and trap you, and it gets so boring. It gets so dull. Yes, it's sly and cunning, but only up to a point. It's no match for infinite intelligence. And if you get into the habit of constantly asking infinite intelligence each and every step of the way, you're no longer hypnotized by the nonsense of your mind. And it becomes very boring and silly. Thy testimonies have I taken as an heritage forever, for they are the rejoicing of my heart. Your heritage is the rejoicing of your heart. That's what you have. You have a heritage. You have an inheritance too. You have a trust fund, if you will. And what you have is everything. Everything that will make you happy. Physical, non-physical, emotional, mental, all of it. It's already there for you. I have inclined my heart to perform thy statutes always, even unto the end. So to incline your heart is to program your deep mind or your subconscious mind to always perform the statutes, meaning that my mind is always connected to infinite intelligence, which is that I will always remember to ask, to be guided and led at every moment, not thinking that I understand what anything means, because I don't. I don't understand this world because it's not understandable, but infinite intelligence knows what's real and what's not real. And if I listen to infinite intelligence and I'm guided every single step of the way, I cannot fail. Samech, to overcome discouragement. Am I right? Yes. Okay. Oh, stop it. Okay, here we go. Psalmic, to overcome discouragement. I hate vain thoughts, but thy law do I love. I hate vain thoughts, but thy law do I love. Thou art my hiding place and my shield. I hope in thy word. Depart from me, ye evildoers, for I will keep the commandments of my God. Uphold me according to thy word, that I may live. Let me not be ashamed of my hope. Hold thou me up, and I shall be safe, and I will have respect unto thy statutes continually. Thou hast trodden down all them that err from thy statutes. Their deceit is falsehood. All right. I hate vain thoughts. I hate vain thoughts. But thy law do I love. To hate means to turn away from. So I'm going to stop thinking by myself. I'm going to recognize when I'm doing it, and I'm going to go with what I love, which is the law of infinite intelligence, which is the law of cause and effect, and infinite intelligence's thoughts are the cause, and my happiness is the effect. Thou art my hiding place and my shield. I hope in thy word. The word is the will of infinite intelligence. You have faith in the will of infinite intelligence. And that means that if you are in trouble, you will be hidden from that trouble. You will be invisible to it, and you will be taken care of, and you won't have to worry. You are protected. You are safe. Depart from me, ye evildoers, for I will keep the commandments of my God. So the evildoers are in the mind. Yes, if we have evildoers in our world, those will be taken care of. But we have got to remember that they are a reflection of the ego mind itself, because that's what this world is. It's a very convincing place that's not really what we think it is. So, depart from me, all of those thoughts of my ego mind that are trying to distract me from the truth. For I will keep the commandments of my God. So the commandments of God are to remember to be guided and led moment by moment, to not listen to the thoughts of my ego, but instead be instructed by the thoughts of infinite intelligence. Uphold me according to thy word, that I may live, that I may not be ashamed of my hope. So uphold me according to thy word. The will of God always upholds you. And if you're not trying to have your own will in place of the will of God, that's just a given. And you live eternally. There is no end to you. You are eternal. You are a soul. There is no death to your soul. And let me not be ashamed of my hope. Don't be ashamed of your faith in infinite intelligence. If you're ashamed of your faith in infinite intelligence, it's because you're identifying with the ego. Hold thou me up, and I shall be safe, and I will have respect unto thy statutes continually. Well, that's just the case. If you're feeling unsafe, then you know what to do. You go back to infinite intelligence and say, I don't understand what's happening, but you do. And I know that you will reinterpret this for me and tell me what to do in the moment. And you're going to respect what you receive. You're going to do what you are told to do. Thou hast trodden down all them that err from thy statutes, for their deceit is falsehood. And you want that. See, infinite intelligence takes care of your ego. You don't have to. So stop thinking I have to kill my ego, or I've got to overcome my ego, or my ego is some sort of bugaboo out there that is the enemy. Your ego is nothing, right? But it's your own brilliance that you're using against yourself. So don't think that you know what to do. Let infinite intelligence take care of it for you. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Thou puttest away all the wicked of the earth like dross. Therefore I love thy testimonies. Putting away all the wicked of the earth is all of your problems. All your sickness, your poverty, your fights, your wars, your famines, your all of it. That's the wicked of the earth, and it puts it all away like dross. It just evaporates. Therefore I love thy testimonies. Well, I would too, right? What's not to love? My flesh trembleth for fear of thee. I am afraid of thy judgments. To be afraid of the judgments simply means to be in awe of them. It's awe-inspiring when you see a problem dissolve in front of your face. It's awe-inspiring to see something heal that you thought was unhealable, or a relationship mend that you thought was unmendable, or a debt to be paid that you thought was not payable. So that's what being in fear of infinite intelligence is. Just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how amazing that is. Ein, to be sure of one's efforts bringing profit and reward. I have done judgments and justice, lead me not to mine oppressors. Be surety for thy servant for good, let not the proud oppress me. Mine eyes fail for thy salvation and for the word of thy righteousness. Deal with thy servant according to thy mercy, and teach me thy statutes. I am thy servant, give me understanding, that I may know thy testimonies. It is time for thee, Lord, to work, for they have made void thy law. Therefore I love thy commandments above gold, yea, above fine gold. Therefore I esteem all thy precepts concerning all things to be right, and I hate every false way. Okay, so I have done judgment and justice. Lead me not to mine oppressors. That's just stating the obvious. So judgment, lead me not to mine oppressors. The oppressors are in your mind, and which manifest as your oppressive situations. Infinite intelligence has no will for you to be oppressed. So your oppressors and that which oppresses you is immediately dissolved when you do judgment and justice. So I have done judgment and justice. To do judgment and justice means to receive the judgment and the justice of infinite intelligence, which is sphere number 4 again on Tree of Life. Be surety for thy servant for good, let not the proud oppress me. Again, we are talking here about not letting my vain imaginings take hold of me. I don't want to start thinking all by myself again, because I can't be trusted all by myself. Just like the addict can't be trusted to think all by themselves. We have to see that we are like addicts. We are addicted to our negative thoughts. We are addicted to our egos. So we want infinite intelligence to show us what to do instead. Mine eyes fail for thy salvation and for the word of thy righteousness. Your eyes fail, meaning I can't believe my eyes. It's like, whoa. When infinite intelligence comes through for you, you start to see that what your eyes perceive is nothing compared to the truth behind the illusions. Deal with thy servant according unto thy mercy, and teach me thy statutes. The mercy of infinite intelligence is that you be happy, no matter what appears to be happening in your world, no matter what it is. There's no easy and difficult to infinite intelligence. No matter what it is, it's handled. I am thy servant, give me understanding that I may know thy testimonies. To be a servant unto infinite intelligence is to mean that you're coming back to being guided in the moment, not thinking all by yourself anymore, not having that autonomous thought, because it's not autonomous. It's not. It's you being held captive by a thought form of fear. The real autonomy occurs when you listen to infinite intelligence, who frees you into the will of your soul. It is time for thee, Lord, to work, for they have made void thy law, and they meaning your ego thoughts. So it's time now. Now's the time. Infinite intelligence, it's time for us to get busy, roll up our sleeves, because my thoughts cannot be trusted. So I want your thoughts instead of mine. I want you to re-educate me. Therefore, I love thy commandments above gold, yea, above fine gold. Nothing in this world is ever going to make you happy. Infinite intelligence brings you nothing but happiness. And the added benefit of that is that then the infinite intelligence starts to manifest things in this world that reflect that happiness. So all that gold that you've been seeking after, it's just normal. Of course you're going to have it, but that's not your goal anymore. It's just an effect of infinite intelligence's will for you. Therefore I esteem all thy precepts concerning all things to be right, and I hate every false way. So we are just reminding ourselves, yes to infinite intelligence, and no to my own vain imaginings. Pay for divine guidance when in doubt. Thy testimonies are wonderful, therefore doth my soul keep them. The entrance of thy words giveth light, it giveth understanding unto the simple. I opened my mouth and panted, for I longed for thy commandments. Look thou upon me and be merciful unto me, as thou usest as thou usest to do unto those that love thy name. Order my steps in thy word, and let not any iniquity have dominion over me. Deliver me from the oppressions of man, so I will keep thy precepts. Make thy face to shine upon thy servant, and teach me thy statutes. Rivers of waters run down my eyes, because they keep not thy law. Okay, so the testimonies are wonderful, therefore my soul keep them. And that's true. Your soul is already keeping the testimonies of infinite intelligence. And that's why it seems like you're so disconnected from who you really are. So we're going to listen and allow infinite intelligence to show you how to think like you're thinking as a soul. The entrance of thy words giveth light, it giveth understanding unto the simple. It means that you don't have to have some great occult knowledge in order to get all this stuff. All you have to do is listen. It's going to be taught to you very simply, and you'll know exactly what to do. I opened my mouth and panted, for I longed for thy commandments. That's what you want. You want infinite intelligence's will for you more than you want water, more than you want food. Look thou upon me and be merciful unto me, as thou usest to do unto those that love thy name. So it's always been thus. Infinite intelligence has always loved you, always will love you, has always loved everybody, will always love everybody, and infinite intelligence's will is for everybody to be happy. And so to be merciful unto us means to show us where infinite intelligence's will is in the place of our own vain will for ourselves, so that the world will start to reflect those thoughts. Order my steps in thy word, and let not any iniquity have dominion over me. So I want divine order. I want infinite intelligence to show me divine order. I want divine order instead of ... whatever the problem happens to be. And I'm going to follow one step at a time, put one foot in front of the other, and I'm going to be delivered. It says, deliver me from the oppression of man, so I will keep thy precepts. I'm going to be delivered from the oppression of what it says man, meaning the mortal mind. So I will keep thy precepts. In other words, so that I will see the truth of who I am as a soul. Make thy face to shine upon thy servant, and teach me thy statutes. When the face of infinite intelligence is shining upon you, that is similar to the lamp upon your feet, that you will know exactly what steps to take each and every moment. Rivers of water run down mine eyes, because they keep not thy law. And you can stop crying. It's very clear you can stop crying now, because none of this is really happening. And there's going to be a place where all your tears are dried. But it's good to feel the sorrow that we aren't living where we are meant to live. We are not meant to live in this world of pain. And that it's okay to feel sorrow about that, but it's also okay for you to go beyond those tears. Tzadi, to alleviate anxiety. Righteous art thou, O Lord, and upright are thy judgments. Thy testimonies that thou hast commanded are righteous and very faithful. My zeal hath consumed me, because mine enemies hath forgotten thy words. Thy word is very pure, therefore thy servant loveth it. I am small and despised, yet do not I forget thy precepts. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Trouble and anguish have taken hold on me, yet thy commandments are my delights. The righteous of thy testimonies is everlasting. Give me understanding, and I shall live. Righteous art thou, O Lord, and upright are thy judgments. So righteous is that which is right. So you can't get more right than infinite intelligence, that is your creator. And so you can trust in the judgments of infinite intelligence. Thy testimonies that thou hast commanded are righteous and very faithful. So the testimonies are the instructions that we get moment by moment by moment. We know that we can follow infinite intelligence's guidance for us. My zeal hath consumed me, because mine enemies have forgotten thy words. Your enemies are your ego thought forms, and your zeal consumes you because you're so excited about the truth, and you're so excited that you no longer have to live in a world of pain. Thy word is very pure, therefore thy servant loveth it. There is only the will of infinite intelligence. That is the only thing that really is. That's why it's so pure. And anything that's not it is nothing but a nightmare. I am small and despised, yet I do not forget thy precepts. Oh boy, that's so ancient, the way that they say that. I am small and despised, meaning me as an ego, I'm nothing. I can't even make a decision all by myself as an ego that I can trust. But you know exactly what to do. And my soul, if I can think like my soul, then I have nothing to worry about. But my ego can't trust it because it's only got my demise at heart. So I'm not going to forget that. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Everlasting means that it can't end because it's now, and it's eternal. And the righteousness is that which is right. What is that which is right? That is infinite intelligence's law, and the law is that there is cause and effect. The thought of infinite intelligence is the cause, and the effect is your experience. And when we allow that cause and effect to be the reality rather than us thinking causes instead of infinite intelligence, then our happiness, prosperity, and success is assured. Trouble and anguish have taken hold on me, yet thy commandments are my delights. Just confessing, whenever we're in trouble, whenever we have anguish, whenever we have problems, then we need to reorient ourselves to that which are delightful to us. And what is delightful? Infinite intelligence's will for us is delightful, because that delight is the will of infinite intelligence. Infinite intelligence doesn't will that we have trouble and anguish. The righteous of thy testimonies is everlasting. Give me understanding, and I shall live. So the righteousness of infinite intelligence's will for you is forever and ever and ever, meaning it's happening right now. So give it to me. Give it to me, and I'm going to live. So to live is different than to exist. So we're alive now. Kof, to bring clarity when confused. I cried with my whole heart, hear me, O Lord, I will keep thy statutes. I cried unto thee, save me, and I shall keep thy testimonies. I prevented the dawning of the morning and cried, I hoped in thy word. Mine eyes prevent the night watches, that I might meditate in thy word. Hear my voice according to thy loving kindness, O Lord. Quicken me according to thy judgments. They draw nigh that follow after mischief. They draw nigh that follow after mischief. They are far from thy law. Thou art near, O Lord, and all thy commandments are truth. Concerning thy testimonies, I have known of old that thou hast founded forever. Just a moment. Okay. So it says, I cried with my whole heart, hear me, O Lord, I will keep thy statutes. Crying with your whole heart is a good thing. Recognizing that all of this, all of whatever your problem is that you brought to this psalm, all of it is unnecessary. And that's the tragedy. It's so unnecessary. It would be funny if it wasn't so tragic. So I will keep thy statutes, meaning I don't want tragedy anymore. I don't want to live in a tragic world. I cried unto thee, save me, and I shall keep thy testimonies. So to cry unto infinite intelligence is to make the first move. And that's always necessary, that we start the ball rolling. And then it says, save me. So whatever you brought to the psalm, you're being very clear. I want to be saved from this. And I shall keep thy testimonies. It's saying it as if you save me, then I'll keep the testimonies, but that's backward. I'm going to keep the testimonies because in those testimonies are the salvation. Because the testimonies are nothing more than remembering to listen to the guidance of infinite intelligence, which will show us how to use our mind in a new way so that we have the will of infinite intelligence creating results for our lives rather than our own small wills. I prevented the dawning of the morning and cried Oh, I prevented the dawning of the morning and cried, I hoped in thy word. To prevent the dawning of the morning is to stay up all night because you're so worried about something. So even when it looks so bleak and so bad, your goal is not to try to figure it out for yourself. Your goal is to call on infinite intelligence and ask for the will of infinite intelligence to be done rather than your will. Mine eyes prevent the night watches, that I might meditate in thy word. The eyes preventing the night watches, you don't want to put your faith in things of this world to keep you safe. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't lock your doors. It doesn't mean that you don't do the normal things you're supposed to do in the world. But it means that those things are affirmations of some greater truth, and that is that infinite intelligence, and your meditation on the will of infinite intelligence is your safety. Hear my voice according unto thy loving kindness, O Lord, quicken me according to thy judgment. So the judgment of God is that you're perfect just the way you are, and that your perfection is something that can overcome all the problems of this world. That's pretty amazing. So hear my voice according to thy loving kindness, meaning you show me the truth about myself. You show me how powerful I really am, and I will realize that as a result of following your guidance. Thy draw nigh that follow after mischief. They are far from thy law. We know what that feels like. It's like things don't seem like they're getting better. It seems like things are getting worse. So what do you do when things are getting worse, not better? Do you start saying, well, I guess this didn't work? No. When that happens, you remind yourself what power is. Power is listening to infinite intelligence, not the precepts of your ego. Thou art near, O Lord, and all thy commandments are truth. So no matter what seems to be drawing nearer and nearer to you as far as trouble goes, nothing is as near as infinite intelligence already is. Concerning thy testimonies I have known of old, that thou hast founded them forever. So forever is in this present moment. All thy testimonies. The testimonies are that the promises. God promises you that you'll be happy. God promises you that you'll be free. God promises you joy. All of those things are your birthright. And anything that's standing in the way of that are ego thoughts that you no longer want to keep. And now it's just a process of sorting out. And the way you deal with that is by coming to infinite intelligence first, not thinking and deciding all by yourself. Resh, to restore health and overcome illness. Oh, we're getting close, believe it or not. Consider mine affliction and deliver me, for I do not forget thy law. Plead my cause and deliver me. Quicken me according to thy word. Salvation is far from the wicked, for they seek not thy statutes. Great are thy tender mercies, O Lord. Quicken me according to thy judgments. Many are my persecutors and mine enemies, yet do I not decline from thy testimonies. I beheld the transgressors, and I was grieved, because they kept not thy word. Consider how I love thy precepts. Quicken me, O Lord, according to thy loving kindness. Thy word is true from the beginning, and every one of thy righteous judgments endureth forever. So consider mine affliction and deliver me, for I do not forget thy law. Infinite intelligence knows what you need. Infinite intelligence is not stupid. Okay? So you don't have to say, oh no, you don't understand. You don't understand, but I got to pay this bill, or whatever your problem is. Infinite intelligence gets it. What you have to do is start listening to the solution rather than listening to the voice of your problem. And then you'll be delivered. Don't forget the law. The law is cause and effect. God's cause is the effect that you want, not your ego's cause. Plead my cause and deliver me. Quicken me according to thy word. So you are delivered the second you allow yourself to be. Plead my cause, it's like an old, as if infinite intelligence is your lawyer. So if your ego has all of this case against you, why you're bad, why you're not good enough, why you should never be happy, infinite intelligence already has the pleading for your case. Judge and jury is already on infinite intelligence's side. So your ego's judgment against you has no power over you, no matter what you think of yourself. Salvation is far from the wicked, for they seek not thy statutes. So the ego is the wicked, and that's just your own thoughts running amok, thinking all by yourself, based on a world of fear, based on this idea that you're not good enough. So salvation's far from those thoughts. You can't be saved from those thoughts if you are indulging in them. So you're not going to think those thoughts anymore. You're going to pull yourself away from those thoughts and listen to thoughts of infinite intelligence instead, and let those thoughts be disposed of. Great are thy tender mercies, O Lord. Quicken me according to thy judgments. So the tender mercies of infinite intelligence are not only great, they are infinite. No matter what you think is wrong with this world, infinite intelligence has a solution. No matter what it is, there is a solution. And so we want to be quickened to the judgments of infinite intelligence, meaning we want to be raised into those judgments rather than doing and thinking things which perpetuate the problems. Many are my persecutors and mine enemies, yet I do not decline from thy testimonies. So your ego has a plethora of reasons and a plethora of seemingly insolvable problems that it's going to constantly present to you for your consideration. And it's these insolvable problems are legion. So those are your persecutors and your enemies, and it just seems like there's no way out according to the ego, and wants to convince you of that. Yet do I not decline from thy testimonies. So you're not going to buy it. You're going to remember the testimonies of infinite intelligence. The promise of infinite intelligence is there's no problem I can't solve. Nothing. There's nothing that I can't solve. There's no such thing as an insolvable problem. And there's nothing difficult for me either. Just FYI. This is infinite intelligence talking. I beheld the transgressors and was grieved because they kept not thy word. Okay, so when you behold the transgressors, those are those thoughts that are thinking all by themselves, that aren't thinking in accordance with infinite intelligence. What are some of your transgressor thoughts? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't have what it takes. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too fat. I'm too thin. I'm too ugly. I'm too pretty. Whatever it is. Those are the transgressors. And it's you are grieved when you start thinking along the lines of all of the reasons why you can't be happy. But those things are not keeping the word of infinite intelligence. Consider how I love thy precepts. Quicken me, O Lord, according to thy loving kindness. So consider that instead of those ego thoughts. And infinite intelligence does have loving kindness and will quicken you, but it's up to you to change your mind. Thy word is true from the beginning, and every one of thy righteous judgments endureth forever. So this is not some fly-by-night practice. This is going to change you forever. This is changing you permanently. Shin, to eliminate obstacles to experiencing joy. So I think the last two here. Princes have persecuted me without a cause, but my heart standeth in awe of thy word. I rejoice at thy word as one that findeth great spoil. I hate and abhor lying, but thy law do I love. 7 times a day do I praise thee because of thy righteous judgments. Great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. Lord, I have hoped for thy salvation. I have done thy commandments. My soul hath kept thy testimonies, and I love them exceedingly. I have kept thy precepts and thy testimonies, for all my ways are before thee. So princes have persecuted me without a cause, but my heart standeth in awe of thy word. So the things in your world that don't work out for you, or that you consider to be an insurmountable issue, those are the persecutions that we're talking about with princes. But your heart stands in awe of the word or the will of infinite intelligence, recognizing that those problems don't have any power in the presence of the will of infinite intelligence. I rejoice at thy word as one that findeth great spoil. Imagine winning the lottery. Imagine that if you won, a Powerball, and that it was like $2 billion, okay? How exciting would that be? That's nothing in comparison to the will of infinite intelligence, because that's just one little bunch of money that can be lost. But infinite intelligence's will for you is eternal. You can't lose it. You can have all of that and more with infinite intelligence. I hate and abhor lying, but thy law do I love. To turn away from lies is to turn away from the thoughts that you're thinking all by yourself, because we've been trained to lie in this world. We don't know when we're not lying in this world. This world is a lie, but infinite intelligence's truth will see through that. When we turn to the truth of infinite intelligence and ask to be guided and led in every moment, then we are on the path of the righteous, as they call it in these Psalms. 7 times a day do I praise thee because of thy righteous judgments. Now you can do that. If you want to do 7 times, you can set your alarm for 7 times in a day. But think in terms of I'm gonna look at all of the different planets of old. The sun, the moon, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, all of the different ways that things occur in this world. I'm going to praise all of those things. And what is praise? Praise means being enthusiastic about how good something is. So how good are all of the things in your life? Praise all of the things, all 7 of those planets. Praise every little aspect of your life. Where is the good? Where is it? Did you breathe just now? Did you get something to eat today? Do you have a roof over your head? How good is it here for you? Great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. That's going to be you. As soon as you recognize that if you love the law of infinite intelligence more than you love your problems, more than you love anything in this world, you're going to have nothing but peace, and nothing will offend you. But the good news is that your experience in this world will change to reflect that as well. And so all those things that you're looking for in the world, they're going to be a given, but you're not getting them by searching for them. You're getting them by loving the infinite intelligence's law. Those are just a gift. They're special little extra. My soul hath kept thy testimonies. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped one. I skipped a couple things. There we go. Lord, I have hoped for thy salvation and done thy commandments. So that's putting something in the past tense makes it more real for your deep mind. So I'm just having faith in knowing that no matter what my problem is, that it's already solved. And your commandments are meaning that I'm going to ask to be guided and led moment by moment, and I'm going to do what you tell me to do. My soul hath kept thy testimonies, and I love them exceedingly. Loving the testimonies of infinite intelligence, loving the fact that, think of all the promises that come along with infinite intelligence wanting you happy. How many ways could you possibly be happy? There's so many different manifestations of you being happy that are possible. It's like endless. So how wonderful is that? So loving those things exceedingly by thinking along the lines of how limitless your happiness can be and all of the manifestations of that happiness. What could those possibly be? I have kept thy precepts and thy testimonies, for all my ways are before thee. So you want to have all of your ways be before infinite intelligence, because that way you're not having ways all by yourself. You don't want some little private universe away, just hidden away from infinite intelligence. That's the way of loneliness. That's the way of sorrow. That's the way of poverty. What you want is to have infinite intelligence come in, and there's nothing that you're holding back from infinite intelligence, no matter whether you think it's good, bad, or indifferent, and you're letting infinite intelligence take over. All my ways are before thee. All right, here's the last one. Tav, to receive forgiveness for any error or transgression. Let my cry come near before thee, O Lord. Give me understanding according to thy word. Let my supplication come before thee. Deliver me according to thy word. My lips shall utter praise when thou hast taught me thy statutes. My tongue shall speak of thy word, for all thy commandments are righteous. Let thine hand help me, for I have chosen thy precepts. I have longed for thy salvation, O Lord, and thy law is my delight. Let my soul live, and I shall praise thee, and let thy judgments help me. I have gone astray like a lost sheep. Seek thy servant, for I do not forget thy commandments. So let my cry come near before thee, O Lord. Give me understanding according to thy word. So when we cry unto the Lord, we are taking the first step. We're saying, hey, Lord, listen up. So, and that instigation comes right next to infinite intelligence, comes right before it. We don't have to go through any intermediary. Give me understanding according to thy word. I want to understand what I'm seeing according to your will rather than my little will. It's going to be real different, just FYI. It's going to be really, really different than the way you think that the world looks right now. Let my supplication come before thee. Deliver me according to thy word. The supplication here is you making that first move. And when that happens, what is the one of the qualities of infinite intelligence is responsiveness. So the response is always something that you can be guaranteed. And here we're asking that the response is us having understanding according to the will of infinite intelligence. We want to understand. We want to understand what you want for us. Because, the ego is not understandable, but God is. Infinite intelligence is very understandable. Let my supplication come. Oh, I already did that. Deliver me according to thy word. So the word is the will of God. We already said that. Okay, my lips shall utter praise when thou hast taught me thy statutes. So your lips uttering praise are the only thing that you want to speak of once you understand how infinite intelligence really is oriented towards you. Once you understand that infinite intelligence's only will for you is happiness, then you have so much to be happy about. And what can you praise? Everything in your world that you are already recognizing is good. And what does that do? It increases that good exponentially. It doesn't increase the good. It increases your experience of the good. It increases how much you're willing to let in. Praising the Lord simply means praising that which is good. You don't have to praise some external deity. You just have to look in your life and say, what's good? How happy and enthusiastic can I get about what's good? That's all that means. My tongue shall speak of thy word, for all thy commandments are righteous. Are righteousness. So all the commandments of God, everything that God tells you, that gives you everything that when you come to God and you say, well, where do I go? What do I do? How do I do it? Where do I ask? Like a little kid. Daddy, what is this? Mommy, what is this? That's what you ask for. That's how you ask with infinite intelligence. And what are you guaranteed? Everything they teach you, everything they tell you is righteousness. And righteousness means right acting, right thinking, right doing, right speaking, which means that every problem in your life can be solved. So when you speak of that word, when you let your words be talking about the will of God in that way, then your words carry a great potency to change things in the world. Let thine hand help me, for I have chosen thy precepts. The hand of God is not the same thing as the hand of a person. The hand of God is all-powerful. It's the power of infinite intelligence. So I want infinite intelligence to help me. And what does infinite intelligence want? To help you. So you're in good company. I have longed for thy salvation, O Lord, and thy law is my delight. So the law of infinite intelligence is the law of cause and effect. The cause of anything in the world is thought. When we think God's thoughts instead of our ego thoughts, the effects are righteous. They are wonderful. All good comes. All problems are solved. I have longed for thy salvation, O Lord, and thy law is my delight. Back to delight again. Everything that infinite intelligence wants for you is delightful. How wonderful is it to be in a delightful life, living in a delightful world with delightful relationships, delightful surroundings, delightful clothing, delightful car, delightful home, delightful everything. That's what infinite intelligence's will for us is. And the law of infinite intelligence is that which will bring us delight. That's what it's there for. That's why we have that delight, because that's how much love there is for us. All of this is for you. All of this was made for you, not all of this pain and misery. That's not infinite intelligence's will for you. Let my soul live, and I shall praise thee, and let thy judgments help me. So that's what we want, is the judgments of infinite intelligence to help us. The judgments of infinite intelligence are two things. On one hand, it's a sorting out process. Don't think like that. Think like this. Don't see it like that. See it like this. That's one of the judgments of infinite intelligence. The other kind of judgment of infinite intelligence is God's opinion of you. And we already know what God's opinion of you is, but we just have to get that viscerally. Infinite intelligence loves you, is delighted in you. Delighted in you. Always. So that's how the judgments help us, is God sorts things out for us, and also God's judgment already of us is that we are amazing. And so anything less than amazing and fabulous and perfect and happy is not good enough for us. I have gone astray like a lost sheep. Seek thy servant, for I do not forget thy commandments. So when you get lost, you're only lost from your point of view. Infinite intelligence knows where you are. But remember, we were given free will. So if you want to stay lost in the maze of your despair and keep thinking thoughts of the ego, infinite intelligence waits patiently for you. But once you remember and you say, wait a minute, I want to be found, I want to be found, infinite intelligence says you weren't lost. I've got you. You're fine. But now that you've come back to waking up to the truth, let's get busy and get your mind working properly. So come back to me each and every moment so that I can show you how to think, how to see, how to act, etc. All right. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I know this was a long psalm, but now we've got it. So thank you so much for being here today. Blessed be. Let's see if anybody's still on, if anybody has any questions. Oh, doesn't. Oh, wait. We have a few. When you have someone grown in your home and create a lot of chaos, how can you get them to find their way? Well, that's why we have infinite intelligence. You need to ask that. You need to ask that, because I don't know the situation. You need to ask infinite intelligence, your inner guidance. What do I do about this? You know, and how do I see them differently? And what can I do to find the happiness that I desire? It's not so much how do I help them find their way. How do I find my way to happiness in regards to them? Thank you for answering me. Yes, this helped. I see where I was arrogant also without knowing. I have forgiven many, but forgiving the rapist and corrupt police is what made me question this. I understand that. I understand. It's really hard. It's hard to find forgiveness when people are so heinous. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I don't know how many people are left on this stream, but thanks for sticking around. This has been a long one, but we have Psalm 119, and I will get this all edited at some point and uploaded so that you can use it in your Psalm 119 magic. All right. Thank you so much to the amazing moderators. Today we had... Who did we have? Honeypaw on YouTube and Shirley on Twitch. Thank you so much, moderators, and we'll see you all real soon. Blessed be.